Well, good afternoon and welcome to this another edition of The Papers. The Papers, we are commenting issues in the press and notably the Mamfe diocese where the priests are actually calling on help. Distress calls have been made here and there to actually save or rescue the kidnapped priests. They were kidnapped by the Amber Boys and the separatists are asking for huge sums of money to free them. Well, with us, we have men of substance, of course, and caliber and timber, and a lady is here, and without any hesitation, I will begin with her because they say ladies before gentlemen. She is a journalist. They call her Afu Ghislaine. Afu, we say good afternoon, and how are you today?
Good afternoon, Tabby Clarkson, and I'm doing all right. And good afternoon to the viewers of Camdis Television.
So, how is Boya? You were in Boya recently?
Yeah, I was in Boya recently. Boya is doing okay, you know. Still the rainy season in Boya, but the rains are reducing. And though cold, but not that's the climate of Boya, so we're used to it.
Because when we hear Amber, we have the impression that there's Amber equally. We know that the Ambazonians are equally in Boya, the separatists.
Well, they're equally in Boya, but they're mostly in the interiors, in the suburbs. When you come to the main town, it's kind of a bit calm and it's kind of a bit serene there. But there are those in the suburbs who really get to suffer the distress of the separatist fighters.
There is panic in the...
Not really. As time goes by, I can say the population, they're getting tired of the affair. So most people they're like, we don't want this anymore. So especially in the towns, people go about their businesses so normally. Nobody is scared again. The fear is reducing. As compared to those in the suburbs areas where, you know, in the suburbs, one house is here, the next house is like 10 kilometers away. So that fear is still there because there's a lot of distance. But in the township, you're close, you have your nearest neighbor, and you're assured that the same view is the same view your neighbor has.
Yes, they're getting tired. It's long already, 2016,
6 years down the lane,
22,
it's not easy to cope with such a situation.
Equally with us is another journalist. They call him Linus Otoko Trezor. He is the man, our man from the Ministry of Mines. As the Ministry of Mines, I first say good afternoon and welcome.
Yeah, good afternoon, Clarkson Tabby. Good afternoon to televiewers of Camdis TV and to your followers on Facebook and YouTube. And thanks for welcoming me on the program.
How is the mines? How is the ministry?
The Ministry of Mines is quite fine with field activities going on. We recently dedicated a company in charge of bottling and putting into the market some sort of mineral water. We call the company, I think it's Bonis, without publicity. And there is a field activity going on now, and we are verifying the mining permit attributed to a state cement company somewhere in Garoua around Figueroa. So we are doing some sort of mid-term evaluation. That's the field activity the minister carried on. That was the day before yesterday, Thursday, in Figueroa, with officials of that cement company.
But who talks bikes talks money, eh? There's a lot of money there.
A lot of money, I would say no. Not because there is no money, but mainly because the contribution of hard, because there is a difference between the soft mines, that's petroleum, and the hard mines. And we are in charge of the hard part of it. So the contribution of the hard mines...
So there's money in the soft?
There's money in the soft. The soft is petroleum, and we know the cost in the world market has gone doubled. And so we expect a lot in our coffers. That is what even makes the main revenue of the state. But now, at this material moment, the contribution of the hard mines to the GDP is barely 1.8%. So you can see it is feeble, it is meager, it's meaningless. And this is because Cameroon has not yet opened its undergrounds to industrial mining. That is what Cameroonians should know. Before we start criticizing, let's know the mining practice in Cameroon is still crude, rudimental. It is still at the primary stage. The secondary stage is what brings in money, but it's industrial. And we are not yet ready, or we have not yet settled grounds to open the industrial mines because of its immediate consequence on the environment. So if we want money, now, are we ready to bear the cut with environmental consequences? So that is why we are still setting the grounds. When all the laws, when all the T's and the I's will be dotted in that sector, we will have industrial mines coming in.
So for now, we retain that there is no money there.
No, for the meantime, there is no money.
Because you are not in the soft district, you are in the hard.
No, we are in the hard. And mainly because we are still rudimental. We are not yet industrial.
Okay. It's true that we are equally expecting Ensho Ari O'Rourke, who is a political analyst, and of course our major consultant, they call him NS Akufo. We are waiting for both of them, and they will be joining us here any moment from now. The time for us to come back after this transition. Now let's take some issues in the press with the collaboration of our technicians, notably Mvela and of course Roland Essil with Cyril Tolo. Let's take first this one, the Guardian Post, saying that a teacher arrested for allegedly raping 2-year-old people. Teacher arrested for allegedly raping 2-year-old people. And then the other one that actually draws our attention, what makes Catholics different from other Christians. Can we move on after the Guardian Post? Another newspaper, this time Mutation, talks of an 40 du renouveau, talks of le constitutionniste, Kwete, 40 years of the New Deal's regime. Kwete, we know, is the Secretary General of the Central Committee of the CPDM party. The Guardian Post talks equally of government has never given the church the chance to mediate in the armed conflict in the Northwest and the Southwest regions. And we shall be talking that in the course of this program, given that some priests have been kidnapped in the Mamfe diocese. Yes, can we continue? This time, Cameroon Tribune talks of petroleum products, produits pétroliers, le gaz qui revient, gas is back. We say certainly that is good news to know that gas is back with Cameroon Tribune. Can we continue? Can we continue this time with the Guardian Post again, saying that Paul Atanganji, the Biya regime crisis manager in chief, can we really say he is the one managing the crisis in the North, West, and Southwest, and the other crises too, be it in the far north or in other parts of the country? Paul Atanganji is he the man of the situation? Let's continue. We know of the inauguration of the General Hospital in Gawa. The Prime Minister was there 2 days ago. Prime Minister Chief Dr. Joseph John Gote has inaugurated the General Hospital in Gawa. Good news for the population over there in the north and the entire Grand North. When I talk north, it's not only Gawa, the Grand North, Gawa, Marwa, and of course Adamawa. The Guardian Post talks of the kidnapped Mamfe diocese priest Christians clocked 1 month in amber captivity, and we hear some of them already calling for help. Kidnapped priests, Christians appear in video make distress calls, and we know with these calls or the call will actually meet the authorities that are actually concerned. Dr. Priest again, municipal updates, talking about the situation still in Mamfe, religious weep cry for help. And can we continue after the municipal updates? We talk of Lenfo Asho. Lenfo Asho is talking this young lady who was arrested some 3 months ago and sent to Kodengi après 3 mois d'incarcération. Cynthia Fiangang and Susi, she has been freed. And can we say it's a good thing for our society? 8 former, according to the Post, 8 former U.S. ambassadors to Cameroon team up to battle for Marafa's release. We know that the former Secretary General and equally the Minister of Territorial Administration, Marafa Miduyaya, is detained for quite some time now. 8 former U.S. ambassadors are asking for his release. And then the Horizon talks of alleged embezzlement by Sam Bendi. Musicians plan to march to a Tudi. And how about Ford Mukete IV? A Koko represents Cameroon Chamber of Commerce. Yes, after the Horizon, can we move on, please? Can we move on? Canada fronts international supervised referendum to end Anglophone crisis. We hear that some talks are going on in Canada to actually end the Anglophone or to seek for solutions to the Anglophone crisis. Well, we just saw what some papers actually said during this week. The time for us to welcome NS Akufo, our chief. We say good afternoon and welcome. How are you today?
Thank you very much, Tabby Clarkson. I want to say good afternoon to viewers out there, viewers of Candice Television, and to my co-panelists. I want to say, if you see the structure, it means the spirit is strong.
Are the people of our wing, are they watching?
For sure they are watching, for sure, especially His Royal Majesty Fonfoso II.
I hope that he's not angry that we are calling you chief here.
No, something I ever told you that, you see, that title remains in this studio. Out of the studio, I'm Ernest Akufo.
Okay.
Maybe some other things in the palace of Awing, but not the chief of Awing, right?
Okay.
Yeah, so I want to equally extend warm greetings to Ntumfo Barrister Nico Halle of the Bilingualism and Multiculturalism Commission. You know, he was the head of delegation to the Northwest region, where he went preaching peace, preaching bilingualism, and I just but say kudos to him and to all the members of the commission that my fervent plea is that the commission be decentralized and let structures be put in the regions, in the divisions and the subdivisions. Why not in the villages?
Okay.
Because we are talking bilingualism, we are talking culture. We know culture is mostly exhibited in the villages. So when we begin to talk of culture in the cities, it is not as poignant as when you talk of it in the villages. So I would have wished that and loved that the commission gets decentralized and gets around to the nooks and crannies to promote not only the culture even, but bilingualism. Yes, because I'm just from Bemenda. Well, I know formally at every street corner in Bemenda you hear the French language being spoken. But slowly, talking French is becoming a taboo. Yeah, because you may be stigmatized. Not meaning that French is not important. Cameroon is one. Yes.
One and individual.
Except otherwise.
Cameroon is one and individual.
Except
it's important
otherwise.
to make mention. We just saw some newspapers. What actually caught your attention?
The tabloids are very rich in content and in style because when you look at especially the issue of the priests who were kidnapped about a month ago, when the Pope talked about it, that he wished they were freed.
Can we see is which paper? Is it municipal updates?
Yeah, I think municipal updates.
Okay.
So when the Pope talked about their release, that he was pleading that the secessionist forces should release them. I just laughed over it. We know the ordeal which the Senator Mundi went through. When she came out, she spoke. She said, this palaver is serious. And apparently it fell on deaf ears. And then when these men of God were equally picked up, I thought that government officials, Yaoundé, will hasten up their release. But it sounds so cacophonic that people just think that things happen the way they think. No, it doesn't. Where are the 7 delegates from India? They are still in captivity. Where is the president of the House of Chiefs of the Northwest region? He's still in captivity. So apparently, Yaoundé only gets interest in you when they get something from you. When you do more serve Yaoundé anything, Yaoundé dumps you.
So municipal update is talking about those priests who were adopted, and they're crying for help. But kidnapping a man of God, don't you think is a taboo?
Yes, it's sacrilegious. It's desecration, put it that way. Yes, because you no more fear anything. There are no go zones at wartime. Yes. The churches, the hospitals, maybe why not our sacred or sacred places supposed not to be visited? But it's rather unfortunate that all of them have been desecrated. Everything has been reduced to nothingness. Well, at the beginning, we saw the men of God, at the beginning of the crisis or war, men of God did pray for the secessionist forces to ally all of the plight which they were putting on the people, we thought it got into their head. But rather, it got in and went out the other way. Because when we look at the degree of atrocity, it is heinous. It is dehumanizing, so to say. You begin to ask yourself, where are we heading to? Have we lost something in our heads? Yes, I want to say all of us. Because if the good Lord is not answering us, it's because we Cameroonians, we've all soiled our
When you say we
heads.
Cameroonians, all of us, not only the Amba.
No, all of us. Because the ombudsman, who's supposed to be the liaison between the government and what is happening in the field, do they report the facts? I don't think so. And when you look at the concessions, because you did talk about a Canadian peace talks, which is on the way. I just but hope that at these peace talks, some concessions will be made by either party. Because when the belligerents keep want to hold to their position, it's needless talking about a farewell to arms. Because day in and out, we see atrocities, be it from the one or the other. So there's a lot of uncertainty in the air. Yes.
Legislator 4, about the municipal updates about the person who were kidnapped.
Well, the issue is something which is still disturbing to now, because we know that those are people whom they have dedicated their lives to serve mankind. A priest is somebody who gets up one day, gives up his life, that where he is now, he's going to serve mankind for the rest of his life. And then he has to be kidnapped in the course of his service. It's 1 month now, and I would say nothing has been done about it. The cry for help has been intensified, and still here we are waiting for results. It's true, the crisis is something which has been going on for a long time, and a lot of people are suffering from it. I think this is the same Guardian post where there's an article which says the government has not given the church enough room to go
to mediate,
to talk peace. I think actually this should be the time, because this is not the first time a priest has been kidnapped. This is not the first time an attack has been done on the church. We saw the case in Bali where the Christians were actually being shot at during a church service, which led to loss of lives and bloodshed. The truth is, something needs to be done, and it needs to be now. The church has been attacked, and the church is a place where we know that people go to the church for solace. You know that when you're going to church, there's peace and there's calm and there's everything.
There's love equally.
There's love, but now people have to start questioning, do I really have to go to church? When going to church, I may get attacked on my way, either going or when I'm coming back. So at this point in time, I think that cry for help is something which has gone so far, and something needs to be done, and immediately. Be it by the church, be it by the government, be it by civil societies, everybody needs to put in efforts to see that amelioration is done to the situation. If not, I don't know where we are heading to.
Is it a taboo to actually kidnap men of God?
It is a taboo. Because a man of God has taken that oath. Priesthood is an ordination. It's a ministry on its own. You take the oath to serve mankind. You give up your own personal life. You give up your own personal benefits, because you're placing the benefits of others. You're placing the benefits of the society before yours. So going to attack somebody whom I would say is sacrificing his life for you truly is a taboo, because you're throwing a stone at a glass house. Definitely that glass is going to break. And when it breaks, the consequences are going to be sure, and that is what is happening. If we're not, if we're not reaping the repercussions, it's going to come, and it's something which is very disastrous for our society. If the church has been attacked, schools have been attacked, now the church has been attacked, then something needs to be done, and it needs to be now.
Something needs to be done, Linus Sotoko. We are talking still municipal updates. The priests were calling for help.
I will not buy the idea of throwing stones at every loophole or filth we receive on our addresses to the government. No. I still remember the homily of the Archbishop of Bamenda on Assumption Day 2019, where he pointed accomplices in his church in which he was doing that homily. In the book Murder in the Cathedral, after the assassination of Archbishop Thomas Becket, the singers in the church intone a song. And in the song, they repeat the following statement: clear the air, clean the sky, wash the wind, take stone from stone and wash them. These are signs of atonement. When somebody finds himself behind the ranks of men who claimed to swear an oath before God and be becomes an accomplice of the men in the bushes in terms of helping them make money. Because the request of those guys holding these men of God in the bushes is an amount of money at 7 figures. There is no love.
7 figures.
It's an amount of money at 7 figures. I repeat my statement. We all know what they're asking for.
So you are saying the enemy is in the house?
The enemy is in the house. And the earlier the church takes a mirror and puts in front of its face, the better.
Not the government. The government.
Those men of God were not serving in Yaoundé, of my knowledge. They were serving there. They were not ministering to the people in Etuji. They were ministering to the people in Mamfe. In order for them to be abducted, they must have been reproached of something by the people there. Now, who gave their agenda to those guys? These are the traditional questions.
They were kidnapped on a Sunday.
We should ask ourselves.
It was on a Sunday.
Good. We should ask ourselves those questions. There, it had nothing to do with Yaoundé. But it is true that we have cultivated a colonial mentality whereby any filth on our dresses should be blamed on the government. Oh no. The earlier we start speaking the truth, thank God they are men of God, the better. The better for ourselves. We will not bring solution to this problem by pointing accusing fingers. Don't forget, Tabby Clarkson, every time you make like this, the other fingers are looking at you. So the government is to blame. Oh, good. Now, how many fingers are ourselves?
Are you blaming the government?
Tabby Clarkson, I think it's time we stop the blame game. Yes, because I quite remember when PM John Gute last went out to his regions, to the 2 English-speaking regions. He did talk about the elite. He pointed an accusing finger at the elite who were accomplices, as Linus did say. He said the elite know what is happening. That's why I did talk about the ombudsmen who don't speak the truth. And I want to talk about the political elite, not the economic or social elite. The political elite have turned this issue.
You are which class, which category of elite?
I belong to all of them.
Okay.
It means you are also to be blamed.
I did say we are to be, in my first statement, I did say it, that we all are to be blamed. I did say it, I admitted it. Because somewhere along the line, I may equally be guilty of something somewhere, despite the fact that I am making enormous efforts at seeing that the situation be arrested. Yes, he was talking about the church, which is supposed to take a mirror. It's but normal. Our churches, be they the mainstream churches or the Pentecostal churches, they have to look themselves up in the mirror. If there is infighting in the church, and you know, Tabi, the church is the macrocosm of the microcosm. Because whether you are CPDM, I am SDF, Linus is UPC, she is MRC, we all go to the same church. And when we get there, instead of bearing our differences, we rather bring our antagonistic tendencies in front of the church. And the church then fails.
The situation in Manfred, can we say the enemy is in the house?
Obviously, without having to make any verifications or the like. Because, why? Because, Tabi, this is a precarious situation in which we are living. It's like a guerrilla warfare, hit and run and then come back. 2 weeks ago, it was 2 or 3 weeks ago, it was what happened in my village. Out of a sudden, a group of secessionist forces attacked, well armed. I mean a group, a gang of more than 100.
Well trained.
Well, I don't know whether they were well trained because I've never been in their field. They stormed our village and caused havoc. I said they caused havoc.
That was last week.
2 weeks ago. Property on rampage, houses burnt, property looted, money seized, phones collected, vehicles taken away, where are we heading to? That is why I say we are all part of it. Because somewhere along the line, if some of us, the elite, we were truthful, we were faithful, we were direct, we were honest, I don't think we ought to have been where we are today. But since some people they've taken the word, they are making political capital out of it. There are people who have their projects. You don't tell me that he or she want a project to stand halfway, and then where will you ever get money to complete it?
Okay. Afu, the enemy in the house?
I don't think that's the case, because it's not the first time a priest is being kidnapped.
Yes.
It's not the first time a man of God is being kidnapped. And we cannot say the same people will keep doing the same thing over and over again. Let's be sincere. An enemy in the house, it's a possibility, no doubt about it. But the attacks on the church have become so rampant. The attacks on the church.
And why do you think the church is constantly attacked?
So rampant. Now the church is constantly attacked because they've discovered that that's a place where people go to find calm. That's a place where people go to find solace. It's that solace they are trying to break. And if that solace is broken, the society is finished. It's not an affair of an enemy in the house. It's because they've discovered that, because they know that people go there to find peace, people go there to find solace. That's why the church now is being ambushed.
The government has nothing to do, as somebody was saying, Linus Otoko was saying, the government is not responsible.
The government does its part it's doing. In this issue of the crisis, it has passed the level of putting blame on the government. It's more than the government. Each and every one of us has to put in an effort. That's why I said, be it the government, be it the church, be it the civil society. Everybody needs to come out. Let's put an end to this situation. Because today, if the Manfred priest is being kidnapped and he's released, there's no guarantee that tomorrow another priest is not going to be kidnapped. There's no guarantee that tomorrow Christians who are coming back from church, maybe from EEC, maybe from Baptist, maybe from the Presbyterian Church, maybe from the Pentecostal churches, are not going to be kidnapped. If we have to put the blame on somebody, or we have to that is not finding a solution to this
You, who
problem.
is a church leader, tell us what to do.
The church needs to, they need to get involved in the mediation for peace. The church may have been silent for a while, and now they have maybe said they have not been, the government are not giving them time to get involved into the peace talks. If they have not been given it, if they felt they had not been given the opportunity, then now is the time they need to take up. They need to take up the opportunity to ensure that peace returns. Because somebody who gets up in the morning to go to church, I've gone cases where even on a normal day you go to church and you meet people in church. Not necessarily because they come for a service or they come for anything, but they just come to church because they find that peace and calm in the church. And that is what is trying to get broken. That calm and solace that people go to find in church.
When we talk the church, Linus Otoko, it makes us, when we talk the church and the Anglophone crisis, it makes us to think of the late Cardinal, Cardinal Christian to me. Tell us, can we say that the church is not playing its own role to help solve the crisis, Anglophone crisis?
Cardinal, to me, we saw the church putting a hand into this conflict prior to the government. I repeat, prior to the government. Because we had our national dialogue here some time later. But before that dialogue, I remember Cardinal Toumi making consultations. He himself being kidnapped and making a whole confession on TV in which he told us exactly what he told the boys in the bushes. I remain on my statement. It will be dishonest on my part to look at the predicament of the church as something coming from doom without enemies sitting inside that church encouraging it. Tabby Clarkson, I love Cameroonians because they have a short memory. Let's go back to schools. The schools that were attacked, were they government schools? I quite remember they were church schools. Mother Francisca, Saint, do we want names here? Now they left from the school milieu because I believe.
So they were religious schools?
They were religious schools. They left from the school milieu, I believe, because after some time they saw the money being dropped. And they said, but yes, just like the Googies tell us, religion had become a very profitable business nowadays. And so they told the boys, do you want money? You need money for granite. You well know what we call granite that side of the country. Do you? No, let's go practical. This is the time to stop politics. And they told the boys, look, you need granite. Now enter the church itself. Now for the money they will not go take up. And they know.
So there's money in church.
They know there is money in church. They have gone for that money. Why did they ask for ransom at 7 figures? I don't want to give the figure here. But all of us know it is more than 100 million. They are not asking the government to give the money. No. They're asking the money from the church. Now, can you ask something from someone who cannot provide it? Let's be honest here. The church has made a show that now like this, we have the money. And so the guys who are in the church, but who are playing the double roles of the boys in the bushes, told the other boys about how are you sleeping? Have you even seen where the financial state of the church? At least will not come. And they came. And I am telling you, as I'm telling Cameroonians, that once the church will drop that amount, put your ears like this, before February there will be another kidnapping. We know the game.
Are you saying that
we know the game?
Are you asking the church to pay Tabufo? Rather, Akufo?
Samson, sorry, I'm always wanting to call it Samson. Tabi, that's a difficult one. Difficult because nobody has ever accepted he or she has paid ransom. Okay? Maybe the downtrodden. But when it comes to things of high state functionaries, nobody wants to tell you he's ready to pay ransom. Prior to the war in the two English-speaking regions, we got what happened.
But should the priest pay ransom, even if he has the money to do so?
Permit me, I'll come back to that question. I was saying this. Before we had the problem in the Northwest and Southwest regions, we had Boko Haram. Cameroonians were kidnapped. Ransom was paid. There's no gainsaying about that.
Boko Haram.
Boko Haram. Okay, if you paid for Boko Haram, that's why the guys are putting in their heads. I want to believe so.
But they're not asking government to pay, they're asking the church, according to Otoko.
Tabi, how do you dissociate the church from the government?
After all, it's a marriage. Yeah, it's a wedding. Husband and wife.
No, how do you dissociate the church from government? Huh? It's like husband and wife or vice versa. So when they say the church should pay, obviously we know that government and the church think they go hand in glove, because what the church is doing to help the government is to moralize the society. The church is there to moralize the society. The church is there to cultivate, to build, to bring peace in the society. So today, if we see that you want to say the belligerents, the other side are asking the church to pay, I want to say it's just
should
like...
Should the church pay?
Should the church pay?
Yes.
You want me to give you an answer?
Yes.
The church should pay.
That's a decision for the church to make.
The church should pay
because there's money.
Listen. Put yourself in the place
Of who?
of the captives. You pay or not? I'm sorry to ask you that. Don't answer it.
That is a rhetorical question.
Don't answer it.
Yeah.
So, which is important, Tabi? The pieces of papers or the soul?
No, we all know that the soul is important, huh?
But
Have I answered that question?
But after all, they are preaching paradise. Why pay?
The issue is when we are talking of the church having money, what do we call as money in the church? Because that same money which they claim they feel it's present in the church is the same money which those same people come back to the church the next day to ask for help and they are being given.
Is it not
It's the same money which the church uses to build schools and hospitals which we go to. So when they sit and have that feeling that they are kidnapping the priest
in those hospitals for free?
Yes, you're not treated for free.
No,
you're not treated for free. But if the hospital is not available, where do you go to?
Are we treated in those
if those schools are not available,
charge?
where do we send our children to? Also, the of us here send our children to mission schools, and that's because we
The
are
school fees
we
there.
are very sure. But we are
Is
sure
there
that
money in the church?
what do we consider as money in the church?
Sorry to cut you. Tabi, there's one fact which we must establish. The church, the mainstream churches, some mainstream churches, I shouldn't be categorical. make a lot
of money.
I say a lot
Then boogies
of
were not
money.
wrong. Religion is a profitable
I say
business.
a lot nowadays, because in the days past, and that is why there's too much trouble in the church.
Everybody wants
Fighting
to be
for
the
positions.
president.
Fighting for positions to manage
It's
the
money
two.
that-
We have
Problem.
one secretary general here.
No, just stay put. He will tell us. So I want to say some mainstream churches and Pentecostal churches make stupid cash.
They are
That's the
motivated by
fallacy.
the love of the papers.
It's the fallacy
Not
those
the
who are
love of
out there
God.
have. When you see somebody in power, you're like, no, power is good, power is special. Get to that chair, then you know that uneasy is the head that weighs the crown.
That
is what happened.
Okay, let us welcome.
Just a minute, Tabi.
Yes.
Let me tell you something. I've once been in church governance. I talk from experience. Until at one point in time, I wanted to step back.
Why?
Because the things I see there are not Catholic.
They have
They
nothing to do with
they
the
are
Bible.
unorthodox.
So the church is not a good place.
It's a good advantage.
No, Tabi, you shouldn't mix up things.
Because you say you saw unorthodox things there.
But what are you trying to tell us?
In church management,
Yeah.
there is unorthodoxy. But in the church, anyway, what's a church? The body of Christ is not unpure. But the people therein
I
is the
won't make it
problem.
unpure.
Okay, we are coming to that. A time for us to welcome Henshaw Areorok. How are you today?
I'm fine. Thank you for inviting me on this show, and I'm really sorry for being late. There's a lot of traffic around town. Good afternoon to my co-panelists. Good afternoon to our viewers. I'm once more delighted to be here.
You are welcome. You are welcome. We are happy to have you. It's true that we are concluding already on the choice on the first paper, because the paper was chosen by Chief Ernest Akufo. Linus Otoko, you are saying that the church has to pay because there's money. Is that?
The church has a lot of money. I'll remind televiewers here, because it is very easy to come and tell people that the church uses money that faithful Christians drop as their tithe and so on. It's very good. Now, let's remember before 2016, when the Anglophone crisis stopped schools there, what was the popularity of the Anglophone regions? They were religious schools. St. Augustine College, Sase, CPC Bali, Sacred Heart, Queen of the Rosary, Okoyo.
Bishop Rogan?
No, Bishop Rogan. Now, let's come back. School fees in those schools were how much?
Hundreds of thousands.
I know one.
I did pay.
I know one who went up to 700,000 for a child.
What?
Good. I said for one. For one. Now, a school is not made out of 2 kids. Now, make that 700,000 times the thousand of students they had. Does the church not have money? Are we serious?
Those students are in those boarding
Are
schools.
we serious?
They have health
What's there is
facilities.
that, please, can I chip in something? Mission schools make a lot of money, including their health facilities. And you know the paradox in that they don't pay their teachers very well.
Excellent.
That's the paradox in
Excellent.
that. But they grab
The school fees.
heavy sums of monies. But when you see their teachers, you hear the OG stories their teachers are saying, you wouldn't believe.
How
But
wretched they
preach,
even look.
they are going to preach to you that we are serving
You
the
are serving
population.
God.
You are in a
Love.
Catholic school, love for the population, love for education, love for your nation, love for the Almighty. Whereas the monies are being gathered and sent to
When
Vatican.
you see the full gun of
And those
Transvaal
teachers are chaffing.
entering one
It's
of those
too
schools.
bad. It's too bad. They should be treating people like human beings. Treating people in a Catholic way. Not that people should be having miseries upon them. You see the way the teachers are dressed, you just feel so bad. You see a teacher who is teaching a Catholic school. I have one of my uncles. Yes, even resigned from teaching to in a Catholic school.
From the teaching profession.
Yes, go to a private school where we have one of our relatives who has a school. He's now the principal there. The guy is looking good. The guy told us that now is enjoying the profession as a teacher, whereas before
Not
the
to
guy
cut
used to
in,
chaff.
David Lawson.
The guy used to chaff.
That is the issue of all Catholic schools. We are not condemning here because they are in the Anglophone region. We have a school here in Yaoundé.
Yeah, even Catholic
where-
schools too, yeah.
Here in this Yaoundé, a Catholic school, where the fees has just passed the million. You know Pemonchi?
Yeah.
Yes,
Okay.
not very far from us here.
Okay, no comment.
Not
Let's
very
just
far from
stop.
us here. Not
No
very far
comment.
from
Let's
us
just
here.
stop there.
Okay. You have not chosen your newspaper, your paper for this week after the press review?
The issue on the teacher raping the student, are we still going back to that?
Can we have...
I think it should be the Guardian Post.
The Guardian Post, where
the first
the
edition
teacher
of
who
the
actually
The
raped
Guardian Post, the teacher who raped the student.
the teacher who raped the student, it was in Douala.
Are we still going back to that?
Teacher arrested for allegedly raping 2-year-old people.
Painful, 2-year-old.
2-year-old.
That is something which I don't know. Because I'm short of words. Teachers whom we confide our children to send a 2-year-old child is probably a child in the, what we call in the nursery section, pre-nursery even. Because nowadays they say the child is not yet 4 years old, don't send the child to school. It's not nowadays that they should tell you that your hand needs to go over your ear before they could send you to nursery school. Now parents send the children 2 years, even 1.5, they send the child to pre-nursery.
Okay, tell us what can explain
No,
teacher...
it is witchcraft.
Wow.
In broad daylight. No, I'm serious. Let's be realistic. It is
Which
witchcraft.
pleasure are you going to
in broad
derive
daylight
with a 2-year-old child?
No.
If it's not satanic, what can I say,
are we looking at
prescriptions?
here?
No, I will not talk of witchcraft.
Please.
It's witchcraft, it's demonic.
Yes.
Which pleasure can you derive from
I
sleeping
said
with
it
a
is
child?
witchcraft in broad daylight.
Witchcraft in broad daylight.
Because nothing gives you a reason to look at a 2-year-old baby who barely can even pronounce her name, or who barely can count 1 to 5, or even count her 10 fingers for you to say that you're having any sexual, even an attraction for a 2-year-old baby.
So that teacher, what should be done to that teacher? What should we do to that teacher?
First, I don't know if...
Okay.
They say let's not use the Hammurabi law and eye for an eye, a tooth for a tooth. Let's not go that way because now times have changed and we have gone past that level.
Linus Otoko says it's not satanic. Linus Otoko.
Yes.
It's not satanic.
I'll
Why?
refer Cameroonians to the court decision that freed the lady. We saw it on Enfoa show, Cynthia Fiangan. The court decision stated that she be set on probation and that she must follow a pathologic and psychiatric course that will remind her of her femininity. Now, if the court with magistrate can reach that level with a lady, it means we have some human beings, men and women, who don't even know what they are. Forget about the age. So I believe that individual is suffering from that same pathology.
I take exception.
I don't think so. I don't think so.
I take exception.
My brother, do you know why the magistrate was saying like that? Because in the judicial court, you must give benefit to doubt. That's why I was just giving that flimsy excuse. Us here in Cameroon, in Africa, when you do such a thing, it means you are demonic, you are satanic. And you don't have any place in the society. So all those excuses that people are saying that maybe you are psychologically,
he's not
you have some
mentally
psychological
upright.
trauma. Is
That the man is not mentally upright.
That's
The
a
teacher.
lie.
But he is a teacher.
Yes, a teacher.
So you are saying that the
Why
teacher
he
is not
came in as a
mentally
teacher,
upright?
maybe he was fine. An accident happened in his
Nothing accident
not
happened.
mentally
It's
upright.
witchcraft.
Tabi,
He's not bad.
I want to take a sorry. I want to take exception to what Linus is saying. You know, jurisprudence fits on scapegoat, right? One, he was a teacher. What was he doing with the kid? Was he teaching or unteaching the kid?
Was teaching the kids sexual education.
At what age? At what age? At 2-year-old?
No, this is not laughing matter.
Sincerely,
It's not
at
laughing
2-year-old?
matter.
That's
So
not
I want to
laughing
say,
matter.
as she did say, this is witchcraft of the highest degree.
It's true.
Broad daylight.
Because
In broad daylight.
the child hasn't developed any features of a woman as yet, apart from her sexual organ, which has not even gone to maturity. Because even your finger can't get into her. What pleasure did he see in this child, in this baby?
Somebody who cannot even pronounce her own name.
The child didn't even know what was happening to her when that act was being performed. This is gross witchcraft in broad daylight. So I want to say, as you were asking her what should be done to the teacher, at times they say we shouldn't take the law in our hands. We're talking of mob justice. Well, when you look at the coinage, mob and justice, it means somewhere justice was delayed or denied, right?
But it was done in another form.
Or like Linus was saying.
In the mob job.
Yeah,
Yeah, in the mob
Linus
form.
was saying.
The justice was done in the mob form.
Yeah.
So we'll take it that way. But it's
Tabi,
just that it was done
Tabi,
in the mob form.
Instantly, if the parents to the child react by stabbing the teacher, I think the court has no action. because you are retaliating to an instantaneous situation. But if he has to go to court, all of what will be said there will just be playing to the gallery. Yes, because everything you say, that child has been destroyed.
She has been destroyed. Yes, Are, what should be done to this teacher?
To me, that teacher should be sent to jail. And I know this type of case, when somebody is sent to jail, they ask you what brought you here. We say raping. Those guys are going to rape him also till that's how it's normally done. Because when you go into those places, ask, what brought you here? We say, we are accused of raping a child. Did you rape the child? Yes. They say, okay, we have heard. Then that's how those guys are going to show you something. You know, this is something which is too bad because it's been recurrent in the society. Nowadays, people go for ritual practices to have money. And I do believe that one should be one of those things. Also, they are being promised other things like appointment, promotions, and the rest. They deceive them to go and do some type of funny things in order to have those things. But they don't know that the Satan does not give something for free. Yeah.
The Satan does not give something for free. So, yes, you wanted to react again.
No, it's true as I said now. They say the devil gives you with the right hand, and what he collects with the left hand is more than what he's giving you.
Obviously.
That is something the society needs to understand. What the devil gives you the left hand is more than what he's going to collect.
Linus Otoko says he's mentally not...
it is more than mental derangement.
He's not mentally upright.
It is more than mental derangement. Let's be sincere here. We all have children, and we know a child of 2-year-old, a teacher again for that matter, who ought to install knowledge and stability in the society is the one causing disorder.
It's double punishment for you.
That is it, because it's a teacher.
Triple punishment. I'm not against punishment being meted on the individual. But I for one as a student, I've had cases of teachers who were teaching and going off their senses. I had 2 of those cases on hand live. I lived. One was a maths teacher. The other was a philosophy teacher. He was teaching.
It is but obvious with them.
He was teaching and going off his senses.
With the philosophers?
Yes, with the philosophers.
It's normal.
It's but obvious.
Because book too much for their head. So.
If somebody of that level, a pedagogue of that nature, can reach the level where his brain no longer coordinates information to tell him, look, here you are in public, you are in class. You cannot be scratching.
You are in pre-nursery.
You cannot be scratching your bottom in front of students.
You are in pre-nursery.
Yes. Another one, the information will not reach his brain. That here you are in class. You cannot be sitting and sleeping at the same time and teaching mathematics. It means some of those individuals do go off senses for good. It is not by virtue of the fact that they entered pedagogy that will act as a guideline. No. They do go off their senses for good. So to me, when I read that headline, I just concluded he's a madman. Okay,
Linus Otoko, given that you have the mic, which paper caught your attention?
The paper that caught my attention is Cameroon Tribune. We see its reassuring headline of the return of liquefied gas, or what we usually call
Cameroon Tribune, gaz qui revient.
What we always call domestic gas in our kitchen.
We'll say amen to that.
I will not say the amen.
You know she's a woman.
I will take it on a different point. You know, the state is good at reassuring, even when the situation goes bad. I just watched.
So that's a good headline?
Yes, I just watched a scene on coming to this TV station through carousel. They going down the hill. I saw so many people surrounding a shop, just the door of a shop. And I was like,
what's happening?
What is happening?
On a van container, see what's. Do you know what?
There
were just 4 gas bottles there available.
Okay.
And the whole village wanted those 4 gas bottles, you see. Now, and when I read this headline, I said, okay, it is reassuring. Do you remember the headlines of fuel coming back? Good. Now, after that headline, how long did we live to actually see the fuel back in the pumping stations? 14 days. Yeah, 14 days. So when I saw this headline, I told my brother, because my mom called me last night and told me, look, you see my domestic gas is finished. I told her, Mom, what I'll do for you is I'll buy wood. We start doing firewood because you are blood, you can't stand the firewood. We will do firewood for you and we'll count 14 days. before we can now go out and see whether gas.
So the domestic gas is not available
No,
yet?
Let me give you
It's not
something,
yet
please.
Yes.
When I was coming here around Fantasy Strong Machine Vorgada, I saw 2 lorries supplying gas bottles. So I was really happy. So maybe those who need gas can go around there.
So there is gas?
Yes, I saw.
No, we
as they were supplying
count
gas
those. We
bottles.
count
So
those.
Maybe
it-
I saw just about some 45 minutes ago.
So it's good news that there is gas?
Yes, yes, I saw
It
it
is
there. I saw it
gradually
there.
coming. It's
I saw
Okay,
it
gradually
but
coming.
now what to do to avoid such situations? Of
We resort
scarcity?
to our charcoal pots and firewood. That's what we are resorted to. Because waiting for the gas, when the gas goes off at the middle of the night, I don't think your family will have to understand that gas, there's no gas for you to prepare food at home. So we have resorted to...
Gas can even get finished and then there's no money to buy the gas, eh?
Oh.
Better there's no money and the gas is available. Worse of all, when there's money and the gas is not available. It is worse than that. So we are resorted to going back to our normal charcoal and firewood.
So
That's
what to
very
do to
very
avoid
practical.
such situations, Henshaw?
And those who have some monies can go in for biogas. This is something which is very important.
How
and
much?
necessary.
How much is the installation of the biogas?
That's why I say
And
those who
how
have
much
monies.
is-
Those who
that-
have monies.
that's
Because it doesn't. Let me give you the advantages. You cannot make your home to get burned.
I'm not refusing. I
Secondly,
just need the amount.
secondly,
I want
it's
to put
clean.
it at home.
Thirdly, it's something which everybody can have it if you just have that bit of money to install it.
It's
Because
that
of
bit
this
of
thing
money we are asking.
from how much with 400, 500,000.
Wow.
You can make it.
The
Okay,
normal
yeah,
age
something
buy a
which-
tenor woman.
Henshaw, what are you talking about?
500,000 francs
Wait,
from where?
wait.
In our
Can I have your
colonial
visit card?
society.
You come and do it home.
I'll
Yes,
connect
so
you with somebody
please,
who does
Henshaw
it.
is saying
I'll connect you with somebody who does
Yes.
it. It's something
Yes.
which is too good.
Yeah,
And it's
I
clean.
need the ID of the person. I'll do that at
I will
home
give you the
immediately.
contact. So what we need to do to avoid such situation is that distribution companies like SADP and CSPH, the acronyms in French, should make sure that large quantities of gas should be stocked and managed very well. They should not wait that there's total shortage before they start scrambling that they have to supply and the rest. And secondly, those who create artificial scarcity should be arrested, because some people have gas bottles, but they intentionally keep them in their shops not to sell because they want to sell triple prices. And thirdly, some of us need to go back to our Asian days. Not all dishes are cooked. Not all dishes are cooked on gas.
That is what I was waiting to hear.
Not all dishes are cooked on gas plates. We have like koki, igbang ero. You should cook using the firewood. When you cook using those firewood, even they have good flavor than cooking on gas plates. So those are some of the
Yes, before we come to Akufo, yes.
If I may come in, that is exactly the mistake I did not expect from Cameroonians. When gas got scarce, the immediate blame went on SADP, the Petroleum Depot Corporation, and CSPH, the price stabilization fund. That's the biggest mistake. Let me tell you, we are held by the right of reserve. But I'll tell you that 14 days ago, the general managers of SADP and CSPH visited 3 government ministers, who will not cite names here, to inform them that the station curve reserve for gas in Cameroon, the highest quantity they can stock, is sufficient for 3 cooking days in Cameroon. That is what the lady said. I sat in one of those meetings. And she was warning us that she cannot construct, she cannot build another pumping station for gas to increase the quantity if she does not have the authorization from these government individuals.
So we should not blame the SADP.
They are not to be blamed. She gave us the warning 14 days before time. And all of them sat and they said, yes, we'll write and see if SNH can grant you that. But you know, it is not us. You go and see the Minister of Water and Energy to see if he can go like that. Everybody was answering her like that. Did we reach the scarcity? Oh, good. I'm telling you, they went round.
But I never had that
21
information.
days.
So
I'm giving you the information because I was there.
okay.
I was in that commission accompanying that lady, warning us, telling us, I can still give you
2
the
weeks
figure.
before.
2 weeks before, the total quantity SADP has is 25,000 metric tons, consumed for 3 cooking days in Yaoundé. And
Just
she wa-
Yaoundé,
and
not
she-
Cameroon.
Just Yaoundé, and she was warning us. Say, please, I want you people to come in, and she was accompanied by the GM of CSPH. Say, please.
So you are not
I'm
blaming who?
begging
You are,
you.
Linus Atoko, you are blaming who if you are not blaming the...
No,
Blaming our ministers who reacted, who never reacted promptly.
those who never reacted promptly. She even got a partner who will help in constructing the pumping, the stocking zone. She said, this is the partner. He's even ready to do that. But we need the authorizations. And everybody was saying, it is not me. You go and see the man of water and energy. It is not me. You go and see the man of SNH. It is not me. At the end of the it is not me game. Did we reach the scarcity standard?
Yes, of course.
Oh, yes, we were there.
Yes, Chief Ernest Akufo.
It's very unfortunate that something which we buy with our money, we begin to cry over it as if we were being given for free. Because when I saw that tabloid titled
Of Cameroon Tribune, Gaz revient.
Le gaz revient. The consumer in Cameroon is not well treated, Tabby Clarkson. There is no consumer protection in Cameroon.
Whereas there is an association for protection of consumers.
You know what
We have many
happens-
associations even.
You know
There
what
are four of
happens.
them.
You know what happens with those associations. At every time the consumers have any grievances, those people are called behind, given their brown envelopes. They stay quiet, and the consumer keeps suffering. Go to the market. Rice, the most eaten staple food in the households. The price
5
is
kilos, 6,000,
The
7,000.
But the cost is not us, it's the war. When you stop, the price will come
Right.
down.
Don't we have job rice? Don't we have semri in the north region?
Ironically, that dog rice is so much expensive.
Don't we have semri?
There's the price.
I want to say.
And don't we have
I want to
semri?
say it is
Semri?
There is
a
a
bad.
flood in
Let's
the
allow him
farm
to
of
land.
Semri
There is
stocks.
there
So
is
there's flood from January to December.
I want to say there is some bad faith on the part of the government officials who always want to be reactive rather than being proactive. Following what Linus said, because the lady of
SADP, the GM.
yeah, she was wanting to be proactive.
And she was
Madame
warning.
Pompeo,
But
Madame Pompeo.
since inertia is what characterizes us, nobody paid
Attention to her
attention
cries.
to her. People keep postponing, procrastinating, and that's what's happening. Tabi, we should be very careful in this nation. We know what caused the French Revolution of 1789.
Bread crisis.
An increase in the
No,
price
they
of
were
bread.
hungry. We are
Of
not,
bread, of
we are
bread.
not
Bread
hungry.
crisis.
Cameroon.
Well, you say we are not hungry,
are
Linus?
No, we are not yet hungry in Cameroon.
We just have a problem
okay.
of chopping.
So we
We
still,
have a
we
problem.
we still need to be hungry before we can react.
Yes, just like the
Okay.
people.
Well, they did
That was the French Revolution.
yeah, 1789.
1789.
An increase in the
Cameroon.
price of bread, and the people took to the streets. There has been an increase. There was a scarcity in the supply of foil. It was remedied within a short time. Now it is gas.
Do you know how much a liter of and a half of palm oil costs? 1,200 francs.
No, it's Jizange. If you go to place,
1,200 francs.
if you go to place, it's 600
1,600 where?
in place.
We are talking-
1,200 francs.
We are talking domestic gas.
Yes, domestic
What
gas.
are
So
domestic
I want to say, well, we cannot already even talk of pipe distribution because we are far.
That's
far
the
away,
suggestion that was made for
far,
your
far away
information.
from
Pipe
it
distribution.
because it will mean that, and you know, we are very fast. We Cameroonians, people do everything to cut along the way before it gets into the meter. So alternative ways are fuel wood, charcoal, as my dear sister did say, and maybe sawdust, right?
Yeah, that's where we are.
But Legislature, we can say it's good news that gas has come.
It's very
That Clarkson, we don't supposed to
very good
celebrate.
news.
It's good news.
We don't supposed to
It's good
celebrate.
news,
It was
no
being
doubt.
supplied.
Because we saw how
I
people
it.
were suffering anyway.
No doubt about it, but I'll tell you something. I called my mom this morning and she bought gas for 15,000 francs. That's
I'm
double
from
the price.
Bamenda. People
That
buy
was
gas.
where?
People buy gas in
Bamenda.
Bamenda. Tabby Clarkson at 20,000 francs.
Okay.
A gas bottle.
20,000.
With
I
that,
am from
that,
Bamenda.
No, the
that's
supply
gas.
has not yet reached Bamenda. They should
It's
wait.
because
That is gas.
It's because there's
They should
crisis
wait.
there.
No, not the,
Distribution is not.
not the
it's
gas,
yet
not the gas
everywhere.
bottle.
By
Just
next
the
week,
gas
you'll be
itself.
everywhere.
It's 15,000 francs. Let's be sincere here. Which woman will remove 15,000 francs to buy cooking gas?
Impossible.
For how long?
Just because of accountability, women
I
can
have
buy.
told my sisters and my mothers that we will go back to how we began. Through the gas came, made life easier because even if you come back at midnight, you can, but we'll go back to our roots. Firewood,
Can you cook?
charcoal,
When they tell you
and
that-
sawdust. That's where we'll go
when your
back to.
husband tell you that go and cook me ego on
At
this
3
thing.
a.m.
Look at my body complexion. You want me to
Excellent.
That is for those who are not willing to do the sacrifice. But we know that that's our roots and that's what we do.
Let's conclude on this.
I want to think that we're talking about that the issue very jokingly, whereas it's too important because those are social services which the government provides to the people. Because already they say they're subventing that if we ought to buy, we'll be buying for 20. So they brought it to take 6,500 francs. They should provide it. It should be provided. Not that you make people, you traumatize the people.
It's true that it's important, but gas cannot become bread in France anyway.
No, gas is back there.
Gas cannot become the bread. Gas cannot become the bread in France.
No,
It's 1789.
Yes,
We still have something like 29 minutes, and I would like us to move to our the major topic, actually. But before we move to the major topic, it's true that you did not see the papers. But one paper caught my attention too, L'Info a show with our young lady. Can we have L'Info a show of Delors Magdalene Kamgang with the collaboration of our technicians? Après 3 mois d'incarcération, Cynthia Fianga and Susi. I think it caught my attention. I don't know whether it equally caught your attention and also Toko.
It did catch my attention.
Yes. A word on it?
My word on it, like I said, I appreciate the fact that the court went clement on her, and the attorney, the procureur, gave the condition or the reason why the court reached that decision is that the lady, on her bulletin number 3, her non-conviction, has really never had an issue with the court. So it would have
it's quite a young girl, it's normal.
It would have been so harsh on the part of the state to detach her criminal certificate now by virtue of what the lady, because she was auditioned by a group of ladies, what they called a mental loophole. That is why she has been referred to a psychiatrist. She was given the choice to choose between 2 hospitals. We will not disclose it here, where she has at least a 3-month therapy to follow there to be reminded of the nature and the secrecy of her nakedness as a lady, and where she will learn to respect the states or the reality of the state.
Was it a good or bad thing to send her to prison?
To me, it wasn't a bad thing. She went for 3 months. You get your criminal certificate gets dirty for more than 6 months. So it was a very good thing.
It's true that there she met vandals, dangerous people there.
There she met vandals, she met dangerous people, but her reclusion, if I can use that word, because the Catholics will tell me they know that word best. When somebody does something bad in the church, he's given a period where he is isolated just to pray for the forgiveness of his sin. That is what we mean by reclusion. So that reclusion she was given in Konengi was sufficient enough to bring her to
She met there with hardened
criminals. But the fact that she could no longer see her poor mother who fries beignet by the roadside to help her and her younger brothers leave the day to see the next day by the grace of the divine God was enough to make her know that she has really crossed the limit of the supportable.
Yes, Ari, good news or bad news, the release of this young girl?
To me, it's a good news because she's a young girl and the youths are the future of this country and we need responsible youths. She committed some crimes by showing her nudity to the public because she said she wanted to become a star. And it caught the attention of the judicial court. She was arrested and sent to Konengi. Sending her to Konengi was to wash her brains because, you know, when you speak
the brains have been watched?
To me, partly because she also has to go through some psychiatry treatments to see if truly she's mentally deranged or she's normal. And more to that, I was so pleased that she came out since up to date. We have not seen any video on Facebook concerning her.
It means the message has gone through.
It has gone through her, and I hope other youths are not going to copy that same ditzy thing in the name to become a star or a superstar, because you see when people watch things on TV, we have influencers, which I don't want.
You can become a star without doing that, eh?
Yeah, but that's where
without showing your nudity.
That's what many youths don't understand. You can become a star like you are a TV star. You are not walking bare body. So it's like that. People sometimes they deceive you to do funny things in the name of becoming a star. You see some guys wearing earrings on their 2 ears. You see some men who are dressing like women. And you see them wearing high heels. You wonder if this one is normal or I don't know what. Then more to that, you see people the way they.
But how do we get there? Who is responsible?
Who
The
is re-
society?
Yes,
Because
the
we have the
society.
impression that the morals have...
Yes, you know, the society, youths nowadays are copying the wrong examples because in those days, we used to have strict education and were children of the whole quarter, the whole village. But nowadays, don't touch my child, touch
At
my
least
child.
the
I
fear
kill
of
you.
the cane was the beginning
Oh,
of
of wisdom.
That's it. And nowadays, that discipline is no more there. And more to that, many youths are there for the love of money. They do believe they can make monies by becoming stars on TV, by doing negative
Stars
things
on Facebook. Eh?
on Facebook,
On
on not only on Facebook, only even on TV. You see some guys they go and initiate themselves in funny things because they want to become a star. We have an example of one presenter in one private channel in Douala who did something funny to the daughter. Was a TV star. So we can go further by saying you even have what is commonly known as porte monnaie magique. They want to get rich very fast, which is too bad. You should copy the good examples.
They should copy the good example. You are a lady, you actually follow that, as a journalist, you follow that event. Tell us, can we say it's good or bad news, the release of this young lady?
It will be good news if she has actually learned her lesson. Because the fact that she has been released and
And we
for
have
now,
not seen any new
she's
video.
still silent doesn't mean she has changed. Her silence, maybe she's re-strategizing to come out another, I'll call it a bomb here, which the society may not be able to contain. So it's going to be good news.
Maybe it's a strategy, the fact that she's calm.
Yes. It's going to be good news if only she has actually learned her lesson and we no longer see her videos of nudity online. Because if let me just take an example. If in the next 30 minutes we see another video of her, then I'll say I don't know, there's something else. I don't know if actually she'll be taken back to Kondengi or is that she's going to continue with the psychiatric.
But was it a good thing to send her to
Should be
Kondengi
taken
at the first
above
place?
Kondengi.
Yes, it was a good thing to send her to Kondengi because they were doing it as a form of correction to her. It was to make her understand that what she was doing does not account with the norms of the society. What she was doing was against the society. It was against decency. True, that's why she was being sent to Konegi. And that's why I'm saying it will be good news if she has learned her lesson. Because if she hasn't learned her lesson, then I'm sorry, if she comes back, then the society will, I don't know, will start having question marks of if actually sending her to Konegi was the option.
Chief Ernest Akufo, you have many daughters in your house. Tell us your reaction after getting the news of the release of this young girl.
Tabi Clarkson, I want to say, begin by saying that our prisons are not repressive centers, okay? They are corrective centers. And we used to hear of production prisons, which means that when
I love that. You talk of production prison.
Yeah, but unfortunately, our prisons today, they've deviated from being production or corrective centers, but being repressive centers. I want to think so. Because in the days old, when people went to prison, they came out, if they were jobless, you find them either they are doing something, they have something doing, either they're carpentry, welding, or they can produce something with their hands. Some even go there and they become very intelligent and they get certificates while in prison. So I want to say the sending of this young girl to prison was not too heavy for her. Rather, it was trying to bring back moral decency. You know, our society is day in and out becoming too decadent to the fact that there are a lot of deviances. You see, if we don't start doing that. And I want to say, what may equally must have pushed the judges to set her free is they took many things into consideration. One, the impact of the social media. Yes. The social media today has a lot of negative effects on the children because all of what they see there, they don't decipher which is good, which is bad. They take everything and then they want to practice it. And you know what is prohibited? What is prohibited is what the children want to do. Because when you tell a child who sees fire, don't touch, the child will want to touch. Until when the fire burns, before next time, the child will not go towards that fire. That's a little bit of what is happening with our social media. Our children, be they boys or girls, because it's a two-way traffic. We can't only be talking about the girls. When you look at some of our children, they move barely naked. Yes. They put their trousers down their hips, whereas they don't know that those were things which were happening in the Guantanamo prisons, where we were not authorized to put on belts. They don't know. They just copy blindly. So I want to thank the magistrates who went in for that decision.
Maybe to a lesson to other youths that they should not copy that example.
Yes. They should learn. And you see, all of these things, Tabi Klassen, is just garbage in and out. When you get to some households, the parents, that is how they dress.
The parents are even worse than the children.
The parents are worse than some of the children. Because you see a mother, she dresses up in exposing all her contours. And what do you expect of the child?
Exposing what?
All her contours.
The other lady here is well dressed anyway.
No, she's often and always been well dressed. And because she had the moral education, she had the education from the home.
Her father is a teacher anyway, if I'm not mistaken.
That is what I say.
And that's why there are some certain things you cannot put.
Tell me, if somebody tells you lack home education, no, you're finished.
Okay.
Because it's the first of all of education.
Ari wants to react. Ari.
This dressing issue is something which I have some of my interns. One girl came with the dress shop.
You were seeing the level?
Yes, it was open. I paid for her. Have you seen the way you are dressed? She looked at her body. I said, when you left for me, your parents saw you going out like this. She never said anything. I said, next time you come here like this, I will drive you. This is not a bar or a prostitute place. When you come to an office, dress decently. You should have a dress code. You should not be going to an office like if you are going to a farm or a nightclub. He said, thank you, sir. The following day I observed her, she was well dressed with her friend. Then I've been observing her dressing well. I said, that's
so parents too are responsible for what is happening.
I discussed this thing with one of my colleagues. She said, you don't know children. Maybe leaving their home, she's well dressed, but by the time she's around the office, she will remove her dress.
You are not far from the truth.
It is true that it goes back to your training.
Yes.
Yeah. I bet you there are things that you cannot put on in our house. I'll say that
it's
we
true. Even
there are things that you cannot buy.
Even to buy something, they ask
they
you,
call my mother at home Mama Fire. You know why? Because the day in her dream, if she dreams even that thing you are bought or that thing you are wearing does not even conform. I bet you come and meet fire. And then she waits for when you are home. She just quietly picks and then tells you to light the fire on it to teach you. And that's something that you're not supposed to do. It all goes back to the training. The way you leave your home should be the way you should go around and she should come back home.
Yeah. They call her Mami Fire.
Yeah. Because you don't expect to leave your home and then you go and change in the middle of the road and then you're coming back, you change away back the camera I came back home with. Are you really sincere?
Tabi, I want to say,
my father, in our house, it doesn't happen.
Yesterday I visited the university.
Home training matters, eh?
Yes, home training matters.
Yesterday I visited the University of Bamenda. Well, out of, let's say, the almost 1,000 students which I saw there, maybe 50 or 100 were poorly dressed. So it's an appeal. This is the beginning of the university year, school year. It's an appeal I'm making to the ministers concerned, either basic, secondary, higher education. They should see into it that there's a dress code. I don't want to say they should bring back the uniform into those schools. No, but there should be a dress code. A dress code means I want to cite your former employer. When you get to Siantu, it's no publicity anyway. All of the girls there are dressed in jeans and t-shirt.
But the jeans are also showing their buttocks.
No, their t-shirt is long, please. I observed it. I'm not making any proposal.
So you went there as an observer. You were there as an observer.
Well, maybe like a moral giver too. Maybe like a moral giver too. You see, we must observe the society. That's our role.
Yeah.
And point out the things which are correct and the ones which are not correct. Yeah, because we need a correct society.
We need a correct society. Yeah. We have 15 more minutes before we move on. A transition before we come back to debate on our topic. Behind the jingle. Well, we are talking the Manfred diocese. Are you are a son of Manfred, Manu? Tell us, certainly you follow this information, what should be done? The tears of the priest, who to rescue them? Who do you think should pay the ransom, the church or the government?
What's there is that to me, the sad situation which occurred on the 15th of September where you have 5 priests, a nun, a cook, and some lay people were kidnapped by gunmen in the St. Mary Catholic Church in Chang, Manu Division, is something which is too aching, and it has blackened the image of Cameroon. We had Pope Francis in his Angelus address on the 25th of September calling on the government of Cameroon and the separatists to make sure that those people kidnapped should be released. And more to that, we have Bishop Kia of the Bamenda Archdiocese. You know, the Manfred Catholic Church is under the Bamenda Archdiocese. Yes, province. Sorry, Bamenda province. So it's a shocking situation. The question you ask is, should the government pay or the church? I do believe the church should pay because the church has a lot of money. You know, all the monies we are giving for offerings and the rest, it goes to Vatican. And more to that, our Catholic schools, our Catholic hospitals, the monies they collect, they send to Vatican. So they have a lot of monies. Look at their cathedrals. How many you see how gigantic they are?
Sumptuous.
You see, so if the Pope is crying,
Should
it
they
should
pay?
be there.
Should they pay the ransom?
What's there is that
For example, they always say they don't negotiate with terrorists.
that's a military accession, but when it comes to religious accession, we have to pray so that the minds of the kidnappers are softened, so that they can take the money, the bit of money they can give them, because those kidnappers were requesting for I think 20 or 30 million for those people to be released. So if they pray, I do believe God is going to touch their minds. They give them
The minds of the kidnappers.
yes, so that they give even 5 million, they will be released. And more to that, is something which is not encouraged, because if we keep on giving money to those kidnappers, it's going to become the war of the economy of war, meaning that during situation of conflict like in the northern southern regions, people will keep on kidnapping.
So should we sacrifice a priest?
No, we cannot sacrifice them. What's there is that a good way out is going to be done, because the Pope has come out, and I do believe you have some people whom are going to speak or even pay on behalf of the church.
The fact that the
Those people
Pope
to
has
be
come out, Linus Otoko, can we say that it will actually help to resolve this issue?
I doubt. And I doubt it 100%. I still remind Cameroonians that there was a whole homily on August 15, 2019, in which that bishop in Bamenda condemned this crisis situation. Talked about accomplices in the church who were attending his mass, and concluded by telling them that even me, reading that mass, I am not sure of my own safety after this mass. I am talking of the Bishop of Bamenda. Bishop Kea himself. So, by kidnapping them after that kind of homily, well done in all the minds, after digesting and meditating on it, they still went ahead and kidnapped them.
Even kidnapped Cardinal Tumi.
Even kidnapped the cardinal himself.
The late cardinal.
Who was a reference
may his soul
to them.
continue to rest in peace, because we know how he fought
Who was
for peace to
even a
return.
reference? Because
in
even,
the Northwest and
even the
Southwest.
kidnappers were calling him Pa, but they still kidnap him. So you can imagine. So, to me, I doubt of any results. But like we said, the church has a lot of money. Let the church.
But those priests, those people, they are servants of God. Are the Amber Boys asking God to pay?
No, what's there is that the Ambas are not asking God to pay. They're asking those officials of the Catholic Church, the priests, the bishops, and the Pope to pay, because they have a lot of money. Some of them have been attending those churches, and they have been seeing how it functions when concerns money. So they know that there's money there. Why didn't they go and attack those funny Pentecostal churches?
Even government schools.
Yes, but they attacked this thing. And it's not the first time that attacked them in Manfred. They kidnapped Bishop Agbotoko. he was released after 20 million was paid, including other officials. That was in 2019.
So
They tried that in Boya. They didn't pay. This man was killed. Sub something. I've forgotten his other name. Was killed.
If you are in Manfe, will you go to church?
If I'm in Mamfe, no, I wouldn't go to church. Even the priest said the church in Chang, the Catholic church in Chang will never be operational again because it's too bad. You cannot go to where there's supposed to be safety, but there you go and find insecurity. Why should I go to church? I stay in my home and pray and do good to people. God will bless me.
Amen.
Yes, Chief Akufo.
Yes, I want to say, I'll begin from the last question asked from my brother. Tabi Klassen, what's the church?
We
church
who are
is
You want to go
we
philosophical?
are
church is
here.
not a
No, that's
building.
the church.
Yes.
No.
The church is not a building. It's
It's
body
a
of
building.
Christ.
What we know is a church. There's a building.
Yeah.
The church is what? It's not the building?
The church is not a building.
According to him, he wants to go over spiritual, philosophical.
No, I'm not being so philosophical. She said she will remain at her home, pray, or you were the one
I'm the
saying
one,
it,
yeah.
pray and then do good to people. There are certain canons of philosophy when you're a Christian, when you obey the 10 commandments. Must you go to church before you obey the 10 commandments? Must you go to church before you read the Bible? Must you go to church before you do good? We said here at the beginning of the program that in some of these churches, the situation is worse than in the society because there is infighting. We saw what happened at the PC Kuba with black magic. Is that what you call the church?
Black magic inside the church.
And you are also
Is that what you call the
happening
church?
with the moderator of
So that is
PCC.
why I say the church shouldn't be considered a building. The church should be what we have in our heads and in our minds. Because if we get inside there with all the unorthodoxy in our minds and heads, even if they preach 1,000 million times, we'll never change. Worse still, when you get some people who come out of the church instantly, they are stepping out of the church and committing crimes.
You were in Bamenda. Were you in church?
Unfortunately, I didn't spend much time up there. Yes, I could have told you that I went to church because it's good to be frank. But nevertheless, when I saw the situation, I observed there was a lot of hustling and bustling around
the
town.
church.
So life is coming back. Eh?
I must say, but
Gradually.
uneasy, right?
Yeah.
Uneasy come reigns because at any one moment, once there's a rumor, anything can go.
Helter skelter.
Yeah, but I don't pray for that. I admired it. I saw how there was a lot of hustling and bustling at every street corner in Gwen. And,
Merry making, eh?
I want to tell you that one of the best snacks in Cameroon are found in Bamenda. I'm not making a public. I don't own one. I don't own one.
Maybe you know somebody who owns one.
Because Chief Ernest Akufo is a good dancer, so he knows how to say, yeah, I know.
Okay, she said you wanted to react a while ago. Will you go to church if you are in Mamfe, for example?
Have I even gotten to Manfe before I'm getting to church? No, let's be sincere here. I cannot remember. Even when I traveled to Bamenda, which is my home, I don't remember the last time I went to the village. I'm sure if they ask me now, I'll just direct the route or even forget.
Hey.
And that's because that's the painful situation we have, the painful reality we have to live with. When this crisis started, I would say I lost my aunt, my dad's elder sister. None of us went to the village for the burial.
God.
Because it was practically impossible. The risk was too much to take. My father was like, he cannot risk the whole family because one person is dead. Sorry, that was the reality. So the matter has gotten to a point where there are certain things, even when you think of a Sunday that you have to go to church, but then you think of the second fact that something may happen.
An unknown may happen.
So it's better to stay at home.
It's not better to stay at home because there's always joy in fellowshipping together. It's not better to stay at
So
home.
what to do when they say the fear of the ambers today is almost the beginning of
It's the
wisdom? Man.
beginning of
Your
wisdom.
life, in this life, the greatest commandment is that your life is worth
Your life is sacred. It's sacred.
Your life is worth everything.
It's
Anything
sacred.
that is going
How
to
can you
disturb.
believe in paradise and you don't want to face persecution?
Anything
I don't want
that-
to die. I
No,
don't want
it's
to
not that
die.
you don't want to die. But if they tell you that stepping out of your house will cause your death, I know that I can avoid it. Why don't you avoid it?
But
So
you want to go
out
to
and
paradise
die.
without dying.
I'll go to paradise.
It's better
No.
to die in the house of God than die in the street.
It means she
yes.
wasn't the
Supposed to
same
die.
as Jesus Christ.
Let's be sincere.
She
Supposed to
would
die
have
in the
run
house
away.
of God. I don't sure I'm going to paradise.
Why not?
No.
No.
Because some of them have never repented.
Why not?
Some of them have never
At the
repented.
when you
last
die, they
minute,
have
God
some-
will save them that this my children died on my behalf.
No,
And
let's
you
not.
come
No,
to-
that's hypocrisy.
No, that's
That's
the
hypocrisy.
hypocritical.
It's not at the last minute that you're waiting for God's divine mercy and
It's
divine
not
intervention to
hypocrisy.
go.
Okay.
It's just destiny.
It's
Okay.
not destiny.
Yeah.
We have
You work for your salvation. You don't get up and
What
one day
says
and
that?
your
we
salvation
have
comes up.
we have 4
Maybe at the
minutes. We
last
have
minute
3
you can
minutes.
walk away and go to heaven.
Are, we have 3 minutes. Each speaker will have 45 seconds. I begin with you. We are concluding.
We are concluding, and on this issue, I said, and I stand by that statement, the enemy is in the house. And that enemy in the house has read the financial statement of the church. This is time to pay.
The church has to pay.
Yes, to make good use of that money they have been counting behind us. Now, at this material moment, the church in remote areas in the northwest and the southwest have become the place not to be for Christians who miraculously want to go to paradise. So, this is good time to reformulate and rearm their faith and go to that church.
Okay. Thank you for coming in the line also. Toko, yes, I hear your last word before we go.
What there is that appealing on the populations in the respective northwest and southwest region to gather faith, pray, as well as collaborate with the prelates, with the military people, as well as chiefs, in order that there should be peace in the society. Because when there is peace, there is development. Because you cannot be playing hanky-panky games for 6 years now, claiming not to know who is causing havoc, and all of us are suffering. They come a point in time when you have to do some sacrifices to achieve some other things.
Chief Ernest Akufo.
Oh, yeah, thank you. It's been a good exchange, Tabi. But what I want to say is, at this point in time, apart from these church leaders who were captured, I think the president of the Northwest House of Chiefs was equally kidnapped. Is far back some months today. Not to talk of the 5 delegates in the South Indian, and maybe some who are wallowing in the cells of the secessionists. I want to plead that dialogue, engineering dialogue, should be brought back to the table to avert this situation, because there's a lot of uncertainty. At every one point in time, you don't know what can happen. So the better we sit, talk, than you hear the sounds of the gun at every moment, and then keep getting the kidnaps and ransom paying. Because in this situation, whether it is the church or the government, because I say you cannot dissociate the two, they have to pay. It's a matter of going to talk. But since apparently the government doesn't want to talk, these are the repercussions.
Talk pass with you. You always say talk.
No, bring it again.
It's true. Talk pass with you. Pass power.
I said nothing.
Nothing past talk. Okay, we are
Nothing past
concluding.
talk, yeah.
Nothing past talk. We are concluding with you, Ghislaine. Your last word before we go. We started with you and we are concluding with you.
We know this issue of
You are methodic.
we know this issue of kidnapping of priests and Christians have become something which is rampant, and be it priests, be it Christians, be it the kidnappings, is something which is it has not been pleasant. It has had a lot of effects on our society. So be it the church, be it the government, be it the civil society, we all should join our voices to see that peace is restored, because we never know tomorrow. And as Lionel said, if the enemy is in the house, they should...
Et un esprit de vainqueur qui le pousse à travailler avec ardeur et à exceller dans chaque domaine, quels que soient les obstacles. C'est ce que j'appelle la camère excellence. Célébrons l'excellence camerounaise.
Our country is said to be the embodiment of Africa. Across the center, from north to south, from east to west, its more precious treasures are its men and women. We are all different. Still, we all share the same feeling. We are proud to be Cameroon.